I'm Dustin. I'm here with Brian. We're going to talk about an unusual case that I had this week at work. So, what I had an OCS candidate come in 3 days before he came to see me. He was doing pull-ups at PT,
Okay.
and his shoulder started hurting. He didn't say like he felt a pop or pull. It felt funny. It didn't feel normal after he got done doing pull-ups. He figured he could shake it off and he would be fine. But he stated that night his pain increased and he really couldn't sleep on his shoulder. And the next day he really had a hard time putting on his shirt and had pain during the day, moving his shoulder. Especially that first 30 degrees, then at 90 degrees. But anywhere in between, it was fine. So if you get it to like 35 degrees, he was good. Till he got to 90, he got like to 95 degrees, he was fine. I did my evaluation. Nothing was really sticking out. When I did passive range of motion, no pain.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you could go through all the ranges of motion. No provocative tests for rotator cuff, biceps tendon, impingement. The only thing he really had pain with was doing push-ups and axial loading and rotation of the shoulder at the same time. So just pushing in and rotating down. And he said he had like a C-shaped type pain in his shoulder, and it felt like it was stabbing in there.
Okay.
And have you had anything like that in your experience?
Well, a couple of things jump out at me, but I want to ask a couple of the follow-ups. What did you tell this person? And actually, did you do anything? Did you refer him?
He had a run the next day, which was a mandatory run.
Okay.
So I told him he was cleared for the run, but he needed to come back in the day after. I told him I thought it was a labral issue, and I wanted him to go to physical therapy to have it seen about, so to maybe get some imaging done if they thought the same thing.
This person, is he a big guy? Is he pretty muscular, or is he?
No, he's about average.
Okay. So
height.
nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing out of the ordinary, either too skinny or too huge. And then what was his previous history before coming into the service? Did he have some athletic history?
Yeah, he was a baseball player, football player for years, but he was right-handed and the injury was on his left hand.
Okay. All right. Well, I think a couple of things stood out to me as you were kind of explaining that. And as you were, I was thinking labral the whole way. And mainly, the first thing that clicked to me was couldn't lay on his shoulder. And just that constant compression. Not that that's believe me, by no means is that a highly specific type kind of sign. But I have, in over the years, and I've had a couple of them, that I have noticed that it is common for the labral patients that we've had to complain. So much so that as part of my history question, my questioning, in any shoulder, any kind of insidious, onset, I always ask that question. How you sleeping? Can you sleep on that side? And so sometimes I get some good response, and sometimes I don't. So that's the first thing that made me think, it might be labral. The C shape, you said you reported a C shape.
Yeah, sort of the top of his shoulder, just
the
arc of the pain. And also, when I was going through passive range of motion, I couldn't reproduce it after this one, but shoulder flexion. When I got him to about 90 degrees, from about 90 to 93, there was a clunk. Like there was sort of just a drop, but I wasn't able to reproduce it again with anything.
Did that hurt him when it clunked?
I don't think it hurt him. I think it sort of startled him more than anything. He's like, did you feel that? He's like, no, but...
Yeah, so I think, it kind of fits. The superior labrum, superior and anterior, the bicep tendon, inserts right at the top, in through that labrum. And I think, even though he doesn't have a, kind of that acute onset, and, doing a pull-up shouldn't typically be, so I don't know what was underlying. That's why I tried to get something history-wise. Is there something that was there before? And baseball probably didn't do it. I don't know, football probably didn't do it unless he reports something. So doing push-ups, you're doing some eccentric loading in the bicep. So that's generates a lot more force, and if you have an issue there that was at that insertion point or actually the origin of that could could probably exacerbate some of the symptoms. Pull-ups, I guess coming lowering back down would be the maybe I guess asking him at what phase in the push-up. But either way, whether it's a labral tear or not, it's an odd mechanism, and I've been surprised before. I've been sure of things in my younger days, like yourself. No, it's not a labral tear, and sure enough, it comes back in a labral tear. So I haven't learned to not rule anything out. But the keys that I found was that is if you can get the side lying pressure that they can't handle that. Were you able to get any kind of axial load and put the humerus inside the glenoid and rotate it around? That bother him at all?
I was looking for impingement or anything else. I had him with Hawkins Kennedy right there. There was no pain. Then I just brought it up a little bit to about 90 degrees and pushed down his elbow.
And so you pushed straight. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, I had big hands and he had a small arm, so I was able to push and just sort of. Act like I was dialing like an old phone. I know there's no validity or reliability for the test, but like it made sense for me with the anatomy. Like if I push it in there and I just rotate it around, there might be pain.
Have you heard the Clunk test?
Man,
that's a horrible test.
Yeah.
But that's in a sense that's what you're trying to do. Is you're trying to push the humerus in there and spread any kind of tear and see if it replicates symptoms, and it's not a good, reliable test by any means. But like you said, when I think back to the labral tears that I've dealt with, some of them I could get some kind of a provocation with that test. Others, nothing. I think there's definitely enough. I think you did the right thing. I mean, there's definitely enough to warrant a discussion of, all right, what kind of imaging we need to rule something out before I start really getting aggressive with the shoulder stuff. So I kind of think you did the right, and you're going down the right path.
And another thing too was like OCS is 12 weeks, but they go to basic training before they get there.
Okay.
He's about 9 weeks into it, so he's had over 18 weeks of training with really not much of a break, and his posture was horrible, so he had an anterior rotation of the shoulder. So I told him, I was like, that's probably what sets you up, is just 18 weeks, your body's breaking down, and that anterior rotation of your shoulder probably just made joint motion off enough to where...
So you were able to actually assess scapular, at least position? What about function?
He didn't have scapular winging or any scapular dysfunction.
Okay.
That was sort of the probably like the third or fourth thing that I checked. I just went back there and was like, oh, it's setting pretty flat and it moves pretty smooth. It was smooth enough with him having shoulder pain, but it wasn't any type of altered motion with the scap in the back. And that was another reason I was like, it's probably labral too, because there wasn't anything wrong with the scap.
But it does have kind of a rotation anterior kind of, okay. Well, I mean, at least there sounds like there's stuff that can be addressed, even either in the short term, or if there's not, if any kind of imaging or further tests come back as negative for a labral tear. At least there's some things that can be addressed, and at least start on something. But I think you did the right approach.
Yep. And like I said, no clinical significant test, but I'm sort of under that. I thought if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Yeah, well,
that's
it's trying to look. It tried to quack, and at least quacked once on you. You couldn't get to quack again, but
exactly.
But yeah, I'd be in the refer mode.
And it's what we did. He had to run the next day, and we hopefully he came back in my coworker sitting the physical therapy.
So you haven't got the follow up yet?
No, because I had to come up here. But hopefully he did. If he didn't, when I go back, I'm going to make sure that he did. Because he doesn't need to finish OCS to go to Bullock with a possible or labrum.
Right. All right. Cool.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.